Hello everybody, and welcome to a Bravebook indeed. This is a Dwarf Fortress Let's Play, where I've reclaimed the Fortress of Bravebook, and it turns out literally the entirety of the previous occupants were, well, maybe not the entirety, but large portions of the previous occupants, including the king of the civilization that was here, and not my civilization, but the civilization that originally built this fortress, was a rare creature. With this pile of bodies in front of us, we now enter into this third episode with a very peculiar and specific goal. Keep everybody from dying. Which you'd think would be obvious given the circumstances, but turns out not so much. I'm going to move up here real quick, and I'm going to make a real quick zone. This is going to be an office dedicated to my expedition leader, because then they will do their meetings there instead of running God knows where. Please go and complete your meeting up there. That would be very, very helpful if you could do that. We have 2 beds in the fortress, as well as this pile of stuff, and some very upset dwarves. And I do mean very upset. Fortunately, they are able to clean themselves and take basic care of each other. But what we really need is we need them to help each other in the format of orderlies. We just need to make sure that everybody is doing orderlies. We need everybody to be assisting with these bodies. And unfortunately, there isn't a lot of hands that are willing at this point. These dwarves are in a rough way. So we're going to do what I said we would do in the last episode, which is I'm going to find our expedition leader. And this expedition leader has a personality, which is she is utterly languid in a pace of easy living, calm and slow, with a low sense of self-esteem, and tends to be a bit stubborn in changing her mind about things, and tends to enjoy the company of others and likes to brawl. Well, while you might end up being a good military dwarf at some point in this time, you existing makes things really difficult, because you're not exactly the kind of dwarf I would imagine as a leader, but we'll have to do the best with what we've got, I assume. This actually up here would probably be a pretty good office slash space for my dwarves, and also a decent hangout spot. So I'm actually going to quickly set this up here as a dining hall, just so that the dwarves have somewhere to go that isn't the nightmare scape that is, well, where we've been living up until this point. We do have a few non-player controlled critters that are bucking it around and existing in here, but none of them are currently that useful. And since I said I am quite sure that we've managed to deal with the majority of the problems in here, but not 100% certain, we're going to be cautious at the very least. I'm going to put a little door right here real quick, and I'm going to turn off the burrow. I'll just make sure to turn it back on when things become obviously concerning once again. We're going to let the dwarves run down here and do what they need to do. I mean, it's not like their moods are going to improve anytime soon. Knocking down some buildings because we don't need these down here anymore. Oh boy, what a place, what a fortress, what a home. Not much of one, if nothing else. We're moving the alcohol to the farming layer stockpile, just so that the dwarves can at least have access to some sort of food. I can expand this stockpile here ever so slightly, so we're going to do that, just so that there's a little bit more space for food. I'm going to expand it up into here as well, so that they have more places to put stuff, just because, well, we do need that food. So as the dwarves clean things up, I'm going to kind of just let the dwarves be at work for a little bit. Uh-oh. Elf Abbot is fighting with what? A Magma Crab? Well, that seems unwise. Oh, well, there's a Magma Crab. If things couldn't get any better, there's now a Magma Crab in the fort. Shooting the entirety of its lava at one of my dwarves, at which point now a dwarf is fighting with the thing, and it turns around and shoots more lava. At least you're pretty good at dodging here, Urvad. Okay, well, you killed it. Good. There's another one over here who is currently overcome by terror. Magma crabs have limited ammunition as they can only hold so much lava in their little mouths. But fortunately, the thing that we've been waiting for is some unfortunate souls have arrived. Yes, some very unfortunate souls have arrived. It does appear that our dwarves are giving water to these to the dwarves hanging out in the hospital, or coulettes specifically. So I guess that is a positive thing. So we need to do something real quick. We need to make sure that the dwarves are not going underground, unless it is absolutely needed. So I'm gonna make a new burrow and get back to you in a second here. So this new burrow includes a few different zones. It includes that coffin zone that I started, this area down here, as well as our makeshift hospital, and up here on the surface. Although I'm going to expand it a little bit on the surface. And the reason I'm going to do that is I'm going to start collecting fruits and veggies from the surface. Because if we look up here, there are prickleberries and such everywhere. And we're going to use this as an opportunity to kind of make new in this fortress. Now, in that lower area down here, there is this meeting zone. I'm going to remove that. I'm also going to remove this office. And those tombs can just stay those tombs until the bodies rot, and then we'll get down there. But what we're going to do initially here is I'm actually going to set up a pretty high priority deconstruction of a lot of these floors, and we're going to use these to rebuild a chunk of these walls all the way around. Once these floors have all been deconstructed, we're going to have a little bit of a better idea of what we're working with here. I also am not a huge fan of the square look that a lot of these rooms have, so I'm just going to kind of curve the corners off. Now, these poor unfortunate souls who are moving into this fortress are, well, going to be the dwarves that have the highest likelihood of keeping us alive here. It looks like some of them are bringing family members. We've got many herbalists and beekeepers, some wood crafters and an engraver, which is definitely good for our hopeful future for this fortress. But we do have to remember to assign everybody to this new burrow as they arrive. Population is skyrocketing back up to where it needs to be, which is as it should be, of course. And so now we just simply need to wait for the dwarves to... why are you on fire? That's not good. Why? Dwarf Fortress, everybody. Anyway, so now the goal is to simply get as many of these dwarves assigned to this burrow as possible, and just make sure that they, get up here and do what they're supposed to, which is not catch on fire. I'm gonna go up to here to this slightly, well, up there or down here. I think I'm just gonna give them a space over here, and this is just going to be our general meeting zone right there. And then right beneath that, I'm going to also make a space about yay big, and this is where you're going to sit and stare up at the heavens and scream, why did I come here in the first place? It's going to be the kind intricacy, I can say that word, and it's going to be our temple, and that was supposed to just stay a meeting hall. There we go. So we've got our meeting hall and our temple, and hopefully our dwarves will spend the majority of their time up here, and then begin deconstructing this upper layer. At the very least, we have a good amount of drinks and food in the fortress for right now, and hopefully for the near future. Now, it appears that another dwarf is on fire. So is something here just burning that they keep stepping on? Or is there something setting them on fire? Because I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure where this fire is coming. Oh, there you are. Well, that's a little bit of an annoyance. Okay, so things keep running by you, and you keep firing at them. So anyway, I started blasting, said the Magma Crab. Let's remove everybody and reassign everybody. Remove everybody and reassign everybody. They shouldn't be allowed to come down here. So I'm a little bit perturbed as to how they are. I guess I could make another squad up real quick and lose more dwarves, but I'd rather not if I can have that option. So I'm going to instead lock this door, and I'm going to lock this door and see if I can just seal this little critter down in here. The number of ghosts in here are going to be intense in a minute, let me tell you. So moving up to the surface, they have yet to begin deconstructing stuff. There's a few pieces that have been, but more need to get worked on. Hopefully that magma crab can't get up here. Hopefully. And hopefully we can get to deconstructing a little bit more. Another thing that I'm going to do is, because I think... and keyword there is think. I think I've got that whole space down here sealed off. They can't go through those two doors. There's no doors up here that I can see. I mean, this area up here is accessible, but I'm not even certain how accessible. So let's see if I can just place a door here. And if I can, well, actually, let's deconstruct this door and deconstruct this door and remove the burrow for the time being. Get those two doors removed, which should be pretty quickly at destroy building. And then see if I can just get this sealed off over here. Because I don't know where they're going to acquire these doors from. And I also don't know where they're going to be going once they get down here. So let's get these doors removed from their hinges. And then we'll figure out where we're going from there. Seems the first notices of the two dwarves that caught fire have been missing for a week, which is fine for the most part, but unfortunate. You're destroying that doorway. Once this dwarf removes this door, which it has been now, I should be able to place that up there. It should just be the closest one, I would think. There you go. You're going to go construct this building, Stukos. So let's get this constructed and placed. It appears that there are some zombies moving about. We're also going to have to pause again when we hit the full moon, which is coming up here. It is, in fact, coming up here. We're still discovering more spaces in this fort. There's this whole upper layer up here, which we are learning about as our dwarf places this door down here, as well as all these further away zones, which the other dwarves are now scampering into. I'm just making sure that there's no stairs going back down. There's another magma crab back there, which all of the dwarves are about to encounter. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so you fight with the little were-critter a little bit, knocked his wing off. Poor guy, really. The rest of the dwarves then beat it to death. I guess that's for the best then. And then this leads back down into here. Okay, then. Well, frankly, at this point, I think the only thing that should really happen is this door down here should be locked. Where are you headed? You're going to go pick up equipment? Okay. So let's just make sure that there's nobody down here. Wait, hold on a second. Was that a statue of a... Okay, no, that was a statue of a big guy, not what I thought it was. I'm just going to seal this trapdoor off. That's what we're going to do. We're going to seal this trapdoor off, and we're going to use this area down here as an opportunity to hopefully improve things. The dwarves are cleaning blood up. Moods are going to tank and be horrible. But if I had to do some math, we were up to what? 14 dwarves, went down to 4, and then we've since lost 2. So that's 10, 12 dwarves that have died total. We have 8 coffins queued up for in here. Let's just see if we can make some more, shall we? Because, my God, we're going to need them. We're going to need them so badly. It's just, where is a good place to start? I think let's queue up a bunch of space up here to be deconstructed and just gutted at this point. We'll use this kind of like our quarry with all of these scattered workshops throughout. And I'll just get these doors knocked down too and claim everything back. I just wanted to say something that I've been thinking about while I've been messing around with this particular series. I've seen a few comments from a few people stating that they think that the pre-gen fortresses are very unrealistic. I gotta say, I've seen some user fortresses in my community fortress series recently that are more chaotic than this particular fortress that I'm looking at right now. So I gotta say, like, maybe yes, but maybe also not all the time. Like, they're not always that crazy. Bodies are starting to rot. It's dark times indeed. We're going to need body disposal, and that's just a fact. We're going to need it. Many dwarves are picking up stuff. Items are being placed in tombs already, which is good to see that those early tombs are being used, even though the construction is suspended. I didn't know that. Did you know that even if tomb construction gets suspended, they can put bits and pieces of the bodies in there? That's interesting. Well, I'm going to get another masonry shop constructed, and once that's good to go and ready, and some of these boulders start to get dug out, I'll continue speaking, because there isn't too much to do right now. It's mostly just deconstruction. Another ambush. Hold up. Question is, do we trust Rakust die yell here? Keep an eye on you, Rakust. So our expedition leader here has had quite a week. After having to kill a goblin as well as now feel the empathy of many citizens. Eurist here, she seems to be handling it quite well. She is satisfied at work and does feel great empathy upon being yelled at and cried at by unhappy citizens. And, frankly, I don't even blame the unhappy citizens. I would be quite unhappy, too. As you can see, the construction on this upper level has begun. The dwarves have begun removing a lot of this space up here. And then deeper down below, the bodies have not yet begun being removed, but we are doing our best to clear this out. Now, because this world is so old, I'm just going to hang out for a little bit here and let this save screen complete. So there's these two interesting critters here and interesting person I've discovered here. We've got the Osmud Bembod, the first Ash, as well as M. Bossimont, the first Ash, which appears to be something to do with the deity of Nathas Thebas. I'm not familiar, but the fact that they're all part of what I can tell to be a different religion from the rest of these guys, because most of these guys are members of the Holy Crypt, which, because they have a different title, I assume that it either means that it's a different religion worshiping the same deity, or alternatively, different ranks for the same religion. It's hard to say, but I just noticed them hanging out here on this pile of scrolls and thought it was intriguing. I guess, like, I'm kind of at a bit of a loss with what to do with this fortress in some regards. I've played many fortresses, but I've never had this amount of pushback to my very existence in such a short period of time. So I'm going to continue fiddling, and we'll report back in a few moments. The sad task of Stukos, placing items in a tomb, carrying Lorbam's tooth, I'm assuming? Yep, tooth. That dwarf lost a lot of teeth in the fighting. It must have been a bad blow to the head that he got, but it's brutal times. It's very unfortunate. It's going to be a long task for poor Stukos here. At the very least, he doesn't feel anything. He does feel interested after having an intellectual discussion with an acquaintance, and was satisfied after crying on somebody in charge. Tends to be a bit stubborn in changing his mind. Hang in there, you beautiful dwarf. You'll do your best, I'm sure. On the bright side, Stukos does get to eat a good meal in this makeshift space for consuming food we have. And at the very least, the office is close by to the work sites, so they don't need to go too far to speak with somebody in charge. Several other dwarves here, such as Servesh, is meditating on caverns and mountains, praying to their good deity, and is satisfied once again while yelling at somebody in charge. She has a good sum of patience and a good memory, and a good spatial sense. And she is an adequate engraver, and hopefully she'll get to use her skills soon. We're going to need to make this fortress a little bit more defendable, as it's not currently so. Something that I really wanted to do the second I embarked here is I wanted to round off these corners, which is what I'm going to do right now. We're going to get these corners a little bit nicer on the eyes, and we're going to do that on all spots around as they deconstruct. This here is going to become a proper front entrance, and then this blue structure here is probably going to mostly get deconstructed. We're going to go up onto the surface here, and I'm going to cut out all of the dirt on the surface of this area and make this into a proper outer wall, and we're going to what's the word? Put little battlements and towers on the edges here. In the center, this building here is also going to be deconstructed probably down to the base of it, and we are going to begin building our library up here. This is going to take a little bit of renovations, but I do think that we'll be able to turn this place around, assuming the dwarves' moods hold out. That's going to be a bit of a challenge, to put it bluntly. So I'm getting Meng here, our chief medical dwarf and apparently chief miner, to dig out a little space to dispose of most of the bodies. I'm going to do my best to kind of get the dwarves' bodies memorialized for those that are members of the fortress, but for the rest of them, they can just be disposed of. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to make a little drawbridge down at the base of this area here, which is going to be set to raise back up against the back wall. We're going to use those shirt blocks that are everywhere, and then this right here is going to be a garbage dump. So there is a problem in Dwarf Fortress, and this is me kind of lifting character a little bit to talk about how there's a problem in Dwarf Fortress. Now, the problem is pretty simple. It's when you have children and they are hauling bodies, they have this habit of standing in the last place that they hauled an item to, and then in that last location they hauled an item to, they start to play, which is great for children. However, for us as like the managers of the fortress, when they begin to play, let's just say the if the last place they were just happens to be on top of a pile of bodies, it's not so good for their mental or physical health. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting it so that this will be in a doorway, and so they, at the very least, won't be playing on the bodies, and hopefully they won't look down at the bodies to hopefully make this whole setup just a little bit safer and maybe a little bit further out of the way. So I'm going to queue up a few of these mechanisms, and then after a few mechanisms, I'm also going to queue up a traction bench with kind of the hope that I have the stuff to make a traction bench because we do need one, but even if we aren't able to get one, that's also okay. Now that this drawbridge down here is done, what I'm going to do is this is going to become our garbage dump. Right up here. So the garbage dump zone is going to kind of go this way. And then I'm going to build a wall piece right here. So they are not going to go through that once this is hooked up to a lever. So once several of these mechanisms are done and I have a lever here, I can then just set this to a repeating squishing spot, or alternatively, we could automate it with a minecart spinning around in a circle track in the future, which probably is what I will end up doing eventually. But for right now, this is just going to be a place to dispose of all of these. And also, let's see if I have any more coffins I can make just yet. Turns out no, so we will get to that next. Another thing I've also done quietly in the background is I've re-enabled these bedrooms so that the dwarves can go claim them, because at the very least they deserve decent beds in such a vile, horrific place that they now live. We now have this space open with the drawbridge raised, meaning I can now go into this stock screen and we can go to the body parts section and I can set all this to be dumped, which is just going to be what I'm going to do. And then for corpses, I will allow them to continue to put corpses away in those little coffins, which, well, as they are ready, essentially. And as you can see, Servesh here is already getting to the very, very distressing, messy task of dealing with these bits and pieces, as well as continuing to make coffins in her off time. Everybody needs a hobby, after all. This is my little expansion on this coffin area. It kind of goes in this little circle, and then up here is the spaces for the coffins themselves. As you can see, we also have some more coffins coming in slowly, which I'm just going to real quick queue up over here and see if there's any more that can be constructed. It's going to be a slow process here, but I hope to at the very least get every single one of our dwarves put away with all of their bodies properly memorialized in front of them. Because, damn it, these dwarves deserve that much, frankly. They absolutely do. I mean, look at all of these bits and pieces. Although I shouldn't be throwing out their in-coffin bodies. Actually, does that dump all command include the... Oh, that's a problem if it does. We definitely don't want them dumping those, but I see. You're over here just placing them in the tomb for some reason. All right, so down here, as you can see, bodies are starting to get put away. Everything that is not being used for the tombs or going into the tombs is going into the little hole here. On the bright side, these dwarves will be very, very used to tragedy by the time they're done with all of this, but on the negative side, we may have some problems with tantrums. Fortunately, not actually that many of these dwarves are witnessing all of this carnage, so I really should have gone in with my initial plan of just clear out all of those still living. On the surface, we have this beautiful heavy snow, which I'm sure we'll be able to do some pretty things with in the future. Up here on the surface, Obok is constructing. Trade is the lifeblood of a thriving society, she says, and she does not often find most jokes humorous and tends to be a little tight with resources when working on projects. Fortunately, all of her passing acquaintances in the fortress are still alive, even though she's seen many a dead body in this fortress so far. It's truly a sad sight to behold, but, you know, it's better to be alive and all your friends be alive than have gotten here early enough to know those that have died, instead of just seeing the past effects after much has happened in a place like this. We do have some construction getting done, a little bit of beautification on this portion of the fortress. While it's unnecessary, I do feel that it is important to at the very least feel okay with the space that you live in. We're prettying up these corners ever so slightly and curving things off and making it less of a box structure. I'm going to try and round out the top bits and bottom bits a little bit as well by simply doing this. So what I think we're going to do is we're going to kind of go to about, let's just say 1, 2, 3, and then go just a few away from the other side. So let's say 1, 2, 3 to right there, all the way across, and then all of those. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, back, and I'm going to copy this on all sides to give it a little bit more of a circular feel. Now you might be going, why are you prioritizing construction in such a terrible time for the fortress? Well, damn it, I have to make something I like looking at. Otherwise, I don't want to be here. So that is kind of my current goal, is just to make this fortress into something I like looking at. As far as food goes, our plant count is going up. So as the drinks go down, we can just simply queue up more drinks, and we shouldn't have too much trouble there. Bomrek the Hunter values harmony and is not dutiful, patient, and has a developed sense of empathy, is good with language, but sickly. We must be ready to sacrifice when the time comes. Well, at least she's well aware of a situation that we're in. Such dark creatures living, who even knows what else is lurking in the shadows of this godforsaken fortress? Why did we come here in the first place to Bravebook? Why is this such an important place for us to reclaim? Of all of the places the mountain homes could have sent us, why this? Why this, wonders Bomrek. Why this? And as we get the last of these coffins set up, I'm kind of at a loss as to what to do with this top little corner thing. I kind of didn't think it through and kind of built it in a bad way. So we'll be messing with stuff up here and see what else we can do. See if there's any other coffins I can place. If the answer is yes, then we'll place those, which there's a few more, meaning I should be able to get the last of these tombs, at least on this side, set up, as well as that one over there. And things can continue being put away, which is as it should be. Are you... Hold on, what are you even doing here? Okay, so you're hauling something and then immediately unhauling it. I'm just going to forbid everything in this coffin, which should forbid all of that, because this dwarf appears to be stuck in some sort of international time loop. I'm not a big fan of it. All right, well, let's see. You here are still resting. What do you need here, Colette? Your ability to grasp is somewhat impaired. You need dressing, you need setting, you need immobilization. Let's see, is there a chest I can place in here? No, there isn't. Okay, so we need to make you a chest, first and foremost. So let's make a coffer, not a coffin, and get that done right now. And then from there, we'll see what else we can work on. And it looks like a lot of this stuff is getting crushed, so I'm going to real quick put a high priority lever pull and then a low priority lever pull, although the low priority lever pull is going to be paused until the high priority one is done and the thing comes down. And then once it's come down, thunk right there, we can then unpause that one and queue up that, and the body disposal can continue. It appears this goblin here has seen better days. He's quite frustrated after a lack of decent meals and being unable to pray to Nashus, the beige cave, for too long. I wonder if I could give them a temple or something they could pray in before all of these goblins slowly go nuts in my fortress. Wouldn't that be kind of amusing, though, if they just kind of go insane over time? Also, something that you may not know is these corner areas up here on this upper level are going to be something that's going to cause me some grief here, because we're going to need to go around the top here. Also, I love Vikra, the Holy Crypt, who just lives up here, as well as this other person named Erush, those two legendary critters who just kind of fly around in the rafters. I'm sure they're friendly. Shouldn't be too much to worry about, I don't think. Right here, though, at the entryway, I'm going to place a raising drawbridge here, which is just going to be made out of the pitch blend, which is everywhere. Stick with kind of that green style. And then this is going to be connected to an area so that they don't go and die. Now, we do need some scouts to spot if crazy monsters want to kill us show up. So I'm just going to real quick make a pen pasture just outside. And we'll get into some animal husbandry stuff a little later. But I'm going to put our peacock, our bull, and our sow up there, who will spot any invaders before they get into the fortress. Fortunately, as well, I assume these goblins will help if any serious combat situations happen, because frankly, I have no idea what to expect in this particular embark, because there's just so much stuff that could go wrong. Tosid, apparently his body, or Dwarf, is haunting the fortress. So let's see if I can find Tosid's body. Not so likely. Let me go digging for a second, and I'll report back with if I'm able to find it. I'm not seeing it on this very long list here. I am seeing some of them, like there's Lorbams, a little bit more of a scroll through, and I will report. Yeah, it seems like that body may have gotten dumped. So essentially what we're going to have to start doing now is I'm going to need to make some slabs, and we're going to need to start just memorializing dwarves via slab. So I'm going to queue up some rock slabs, and I'm just going to do those on repeat for a little bit. Those slabs are going to hopefully help us sort out some of these problems. And let's see if that their chest has been made yet. No, it has not. You should be just about done right there, though, with that coffer, so finish her up. Come on, Dwarf. So what I've done is I've made a little corpse stockpile here, and I've removed all dwarven bodies from here, and I'm just automatically, or not automatically, but I'm just going to manually set these to be dumped into here as needed. It appears the hamsters are already starting to move into our death pile as well, which is perfect, frankly. And then this one over here is just set for any destroyed clothing, which is also going to get thrown in there as the stockpile fills up. It's a very grim sight to see, but unfortunately it's a necessary one. We can also remove these mechanisms here as they... Oh, actually, no, I don't need to remove this. I need one more mechanism constructed here, and then we can remove this workshop here for the time being as well. As for the corpses currently, we're gonna have to start engraving memorials. Now, as you can see, this list is already rather long, so I'm just gonna comb through this real quickly, and every single person here that has a ghost alive currently, starting off with Tosid, is going to get a memorial. So let's just get to that, and after a little bit of scrolling, I will catch up with you again. So I've got a few slabs here queued up now, and hopefully those will just get done real quickly, specifically for this dwarf, Tosid, who's, well, let's just say, being a little bit conspicuous here and haunting right on top of this here dwarf. So for this particular here episode, I had some plans, and as every other episode so far in this series, I've had some plans. I've written them down, and every single time I've thought that I had plans set up that were good and ready to go and, like, pretty much foolproof and not gonna go wrong, you know, these rooms have gotten a lot bigger, and there's all of a sudden more coffins that need to be placed, and all of a sudden more dwarves that need to be memorialized, and it's been a thing so far. Hopefully we're able to just get the last of these dwarves entombed, and hopefully we'll be able to get the last of these dwarves families satisfied, although I'm sure they'll never quite forgive me for sending them here. And frankly, you know what? I don't really blame them. I mean, this fortress kind of sucks. And I think, like, living here probably kind of sucks. All of our dogs are dead. Most of our livestock is dead. Almost the entirety of the original 7 are dead. It's gonna be a bit of a journey, this one, Bravebook, but I'm hoping that you will continue to join me on it. Thank you very much for watching this episode. This has been episode 3 of Bravebook Reclamation. The titles are gonna change in the YouTube videos just to kind of accurately represent the title or what happens in said episode, and I just want to say thank you to those of you who've joined me along this far on my second real attempt at a Dwarf Fortress Let's Play. If you'd like to support these videos directly, you can do that via my Patreon, which can get your names into these credits that you're seeing on the screen right now, or via YouTube members. And if you would like to support me directly in other ways, you can purchase a mug from my merch store, or a t-shirt, or something else that suits your fancy. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.